Hello and welcome back to the History of series. In today's entry we will be taking a look at the many forms of Atlantis, as for some reason the writers continually forgot that Atlantis had already shown up time and time again. So, what's its story, or stories, I guess? Well, let's find out. One version of Atlantis was a scientifically advanced colonialist empire which existed in the distant past of Earth. They came to rule the planet before turning their attention to other galaxies. The first Doctor met an Atlantean expedition on Vortis, realizing he was in the distant past when they stated that they were from Atlantis. Discovering how dangerous they really were, the Doctor refused to repair their broken spaceships for them and instead fled, trying to make his way back to the TARDIS while the Zarbi and Menoptera slaughtered the Atlantean warriors chasing him. The second Doctor discovered the ruins of the legendary Kingdom of Atlantis south of the Azores. Atlantis was submerged at the time of the flood, but a few communities survive in air pockets in the mountain's caves. Thanks to natural air shafts provided by the extinct volcano over which Atlantis had been built, Atlantean civilization survived well into the 20th century, when they were discovered by genius scientist Professor Zaroff, who had faked his death to escape the Cold War. They were a ritual-obsessed culture, worshipping the half-fish goddess Amdo and dedicating human sacrifices to her, but Zaroff managed to ingratiate himself with them, proposing to raise their settlement from the ocean floor. However, his process for doing so would have destroyed the Earth. Zaroff died in the attempt due to the Doctor's intervention. The Minoan Atlantis was founded on the volcanic island of Thera near the site of a dormant hive of sea devils who had been hibernating for millions of years. The Hellenic Atlanteans worshipped many of the same gods as the ancient Greeks, such as Poseidon. The island's Temple of Poseidon was erected around 2000 BCE. Delios, who witnessed its construction as a young man, was king of Atlantis 537 years later, with the Crystal of Kronos granting them longevity. According to one account, this Atlantis was the same as the one experimented on by the Daemons. Their civilization flourished partially because of the Crystal of Kronos, which had been given to the Atlanteans by the Daemons, along with rudimentary instructions on how to use it. This version of Atlantis was destroyed when the Master released the Chronivore Kronos from the crystal, with the Third Doctor and Joe Grant bearing witness. In the final moments of Atlantis' existence, the crystal created a localized time eddy, turning Atlantis into a space-time waypoint. This meant its final moments were frozen in time, infinitely extended, and that the entire location was soaked in vortex energy and connected to other waypoints across the universe. The Fourth Doctor in K9 Mark I once landed the TARDIS there, only to be temporarily stuck until he refueled using vortex energy, with the time eddy causing K9 to malfunction. Elsewhere in the city at the same point in time was River Song, trying to rescue the Crystal of Kronos from the waves for the Lux Library Foundation. She bumped into a third party of visitors, being the 10th Doctor and Martha Jones. Later in her timeline, the malfunctioning Project Indigo took Martha to Atlantis. Realizing she was in the present, she made a note of the coordinates before activating Indigo again to get to her actual destination. Sometime later, she followed this up by returning to the coordinates and calling Unit for backup. Due to the temporal anomaly, it came in the form of Liz Shaw instead of one of her contemporaries. The two women were faced with a sea devil from the nearby colony, who had been awakened by the vortex energy manipulation of the Doctors. They got the sea devil to agree to parley, and called in the Doctor, who arrived in their 13th incarnation. One account suggested that the Time Agency and the Hakrola Corp were both involved in the sinking of Atlantis. This event was considered a failure for the Time Agency. Jack Harkness was also involved. One of Clara Oswald's splinters was an inhabitant of Atlantis. Cousin Octavia visited Atlantis while working for Faction Paradox. Iris Welltime visited Atlantis and told Oliver Lindenbrock of her experiences there. In the Empire of Empires, Atlantis was a sea city in the Roman Empire of Roma I. And that is the contradictory story of Atlantis, perhaps a great civilization, or perhaps just some city on a volcanic island. But anyways guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see when I release more, then make sure to subscribe down below and click that little bell icon, as it really helps out the channel. But, as always, thanks for watching.